Hello, hello. Welcome into the show. What's going on, everybody? For Rip the Lip, I'm Ron Thoman. This is Kyle Hervey, and you're watching Over the Cushion podcast, powered by MCM Contracting, serving Lehigh Valley for 33 years, owned and operated by Mark Daniels. This show is all about dirt racing, and we cover it every week. News, current events, talk to different drivers, everything, surrounding the sports. I'd like to take a minute here to thank our newest sponsor, Bodie Marks Racing, the number 33M in the junior division, and the shop Automotive Detailing. You find them both here on Facebook or at theshopdetails.com. We're live here every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, both on Facebook and YouTube, and the full versions of the podcast will be available on both those social medias. So appreciate everybody being here. Kyle, do you have me?
I got you, Ron.
Awesome. Well, welcome in another week. How we doing? What's new? How was Turkey Derby?
Interesting. It was we still struggling with finding speed, but definitely got the car better. We were fastest in the feature, but we ended up starting in the back. Not really sure why my starting position got moved all the way back. Nobody seemed to have an answer for that one, but made up some spots and we raced all right. I think we finished 16th.
Not too bad. Full field. I assume it's a full field of like 20 some.
24, I think. Yeah.
Okay, not too bad. Middle of the pack, but you're still learning. You're still new to it.
Yeah, definitely making improvements every time we went out, and definitely got a lot more comfortable in the car at Wall, which is where we will run most of our races next year. I think there's 7 or 8 there on the tour, so definitely need the seat time before next season.
Yeah. Are you going to be running any of the indoor stuff like we talked about last week, or?
Yeah, I'll be the TQ at both Allentown and Atlantic City, and then still up in the air about Trenton with the micro.
I think if you can do it, you should do it. If the funds are there, you might as well have at it. Get a good starting spot. You might make some waves.
Yeah,
You never know.
It's difficult to qualify into. It is a short track, and it is definitely going to be elbows up. I ran there in the slingshot on dirt.
Did they have a barrier going around the outside of it last time, or was it just like packed dirt and then like nothing? Did they have like a wall going around it?
Yeah, there was a wall. There's always been a wall.
Oh, I also think like if they have a Jersey barrier, might as well tighten it up a little bit and pack some mud into the into the Jersey barrier. Let them run the wall.
Yeah. I mean, the micros could run a little bit farther out. The slingshot when I ran there was not enjoyable because the track was super rough, and I cracked the swing arm in a couple spots. It was so rough. So that wasn't fun.
Jared was leading that whole race and then got a flat
tire. Yeah.
Unbelievable, man.
Had some other racing going on the last couple days. Ventura, the Turkey Night race out in California with the sprint cars, the USAC West Coast wingless sprints, and the midgets were out there. I fell asleep before the midgets went on, but I watched the highlight reel. The sprint cars was funny because they had a red flag, and one of the push trucks was a Jeep, and it ran over the leader, Ryan Timms, trying to push him back off, and was stuck on top of him, which was rather funny.
I'm sure it wasn't funny for Timms.
He was not happy, but
he's like leading the race.
They had to get a tow truck to lift the Jeep off of his car. They did give him a courtesy stop. I do think he still went on to win the race. I'm not 100% sure.
Dang, that kid's young too. He's only like what?
Yeah,
15 or something.
I don't even know.
He's like he's just a little baby.
But then the midget race, that track is always elbows up. I always fall asleep before the midgets come on for their feature.
I'll have to watch it. I heard it was really good.
It was a wild race with your typical California curb building up. That track, I don't know if you've ever seen like an aerial shot of it.
No.
It is really badass. It is right on the beach.
Really?
Yeah, it is really pretty to look at, and I always enjoy watching the racing there. Short, flat track, and builds a nasty cushion. It looked like it was a little over the top rough yesterday, but I had a couple bad wrecks. I think Buddy Kofoid took a big tumble down the back stretch. I think that's who it was. One of the KKM cars went for a huge ride. It was pretty wild. Kelly
sure.
Bryson got tipped over. Somebody spinning in front of her
gosh,
hooked him
man.
and flipped. There were a handful of other people. Kyle
Yeah.
Larson, I don't know how deep he started, but
They said he started like 26th or something.
that's what I thought.
Like, so
He
stupid.
bombed sliders every restart past people two at a time and came to second place. Justin Grant won the race. It was
Justin
pretty
Grant's
wild.
very
If
good.
there was one more restart, Larson probably would have had that. But it was
It's so
a
funny.
pretty sweet race.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny to see like Kyle Larson just show up to these races and like do this kind of stuff. Because like, if he was, if he was like, I'm just gonna run full time midget, like it would be like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like when he went back to World of Outlaw or like the 410 sprint cars, he was just like, they wanted him out of there so bad. Like you just,
I know.
The ability is just, it's unreal. I don't think anyone could like jump around like that and be that successful.
Yeah, for sure. His talent level is just so high. He just gets in anything and goes fast.
Really, really super good. Oh, I think that's. I mean, there's really not too much. I mean, they had
There was a modified.
They had the modified race at Accord, the Gobbler, yeah, Andy Bicchetti. No, it's crap. Who won it? Anthony Perego. Anthony Perego, 44.
Yeah.
He was just on rails. He was passing people like nobody's business. Like it was just. From what I heard, it was complete domination once he got out front. I think a local guy got second. But other than that, I didn't see any coverage of it. Didn't see anything besides Accord posting results. Slingshots were there. One of my newest sponsor, Bodie Marks, got the win in the juniors.
Cool.
AJ knows those guys. He's close with those guys. And who won the regular one? Somebody I don't know. Someone I don't know. But I think Tim Hannon was there, the guy that owns Oakland Valley. He was there, and I think he finished like top 4, top 5.
Yeah.
So I guess it was a pretty good race. I mean, not really my ideal slingshot track, to be honest.
I've never been up there.
Just the fact that it's just like, foot to the floor type thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not really like a huge fan of it. Someone named Blair Shonley, number 13, she won. And then
Gotcha.
Lydia Navarro got second. Amber Bacalini got third. Tim got fourth. And then Patrick Weiss. Patrick was at Hamlin a couple times, so that's pretty cool. And then the juniors, I don't know anybody. I know Bodie, and that's it. Everyone else is like, I don't know who you are. But I heard it was a nice day. It was a long day because my uncle went up there to run the Sportsman, and they left at like, I don't know, 8, 9 in the morning. Didn't come home till like 10, 11 at night or something. Just like, there's so many modifies. They had like 2 consies or something. It's wild.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Man, I had a long day at Wall too because they put us out first. I'm like, awesome.
Hey,
we're gonna get done. We're gonna get out of here early. And as soon as the TQ race was over, they came over the PA and they're like, yeah, you're not allowed to leave until the night's over. And I'm like, are you?
What do you mean we're not allowed to leave? What do you force? Locking the gates?
It was because the modifieds had a hot pit. So there's no pit road at Wall. So they were using the actual pit area and the whole center staging as the hot pit. So they didn't want anybody moving their trailers around. So I was done racing and packed up by 3:30, and I did not get out of Wall till 7:30. And we left before it was over. There were still 2 more races. I have no idea what was going on. They had
it's just like that meme, like, let me in, let me out.
Yeah, we managed to sneak out of a side gate at the quarter midget track when the dirt mods were going out.
Dude, I'd be like, screw you guys, I'm leaving your establishment. Like, you can't force me to stay here.
They added another race. They added a second feature after the first one for the legend cars at the end of the night. And I'm like, I'm definitely not waiting for this.
I mean, that's cool. Like more laps, I guess.
It was not cool for me. I wanted to go home, and it went from being very comfortable to very, very cold by the end of the Tour Mod race.
I bet.
The Tour Mod race was cool to watch, though, but, I mean, it was 150 laps, so it took a while.
Hi, Lydia Navarro. Lydia says hi. I don't know who Tyler White is, but hey, what's going on, Tyler? It's going to be a good show. Of course it's going to be a good show. Me and Kyle are here.
Always is.
Always is. All right, so our guest today, as you can see on the screen already, he is new to the slingshot division. He said he ran a Clone 375 division. Not sure what that is, but apparently it's a race car. It's a little go-kart. He won the opening night at Lebanon Valley. He won the Halloween Havoc 50 at Caroga Creek. Won, I think, 2 of the races at Oakland Valley. I think. You have to remind me. He's only raced 14 times in the slingshot, and he has 3 wins and 12 top 10s. So that's pretty solid. Pretty solid for, first getting in the car, because these cars are not easy. So welcome in our guest, AJ Albreada. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Very, very good. What's going on with you?
Not much. Just got back from Pennsylvania yesterday. Picked up our newest car. Gonna get that ready for the 2023 season. So we got a busy schedule ahead of us for this off season.
I forget people live in other states, because I'm right next to Hale, and I'm like, everybody's from Pennsylvania, and they're like, actually no one is, because no one wants to live in Pennsylvania.
I lasted 6 months and came back to Jersey.
Like, so. I'm leaving. I was so close to moving to New Jersey. Almost got a job opportunity down there, and if I did, I would have moved as soon as I could. It seems like the pay is a little bit better in New Jersey, so I love where I'm at. Don't get me wrong, but if the money is there, we're going. But welcome in, AJ. So let's tell me a little bit about yourself, man. I don't really know too much. I only met you like one or two times. Where did you get your start in racing, and do you have family that has been racing for a while?
Yeah, so my father used to be the main sponsor for Andy McKetty for about 7 years. So I grew up from a young age at the racetrack in Andy's shop, and just grew up, and that's all I knew, is being friends with the whole McKetty family. I mean, Blake was like my best friend growing up, all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we kind of switched over because my sister started dating LJ Lombardo, another big block driver, and so we all were helping him. And then from there, I just finally wanted to go and race myself. And a very good friend of mine, Brandon Lane, and his whole family gave me a go-kart chassis to go start racing go-karts. And I ended up getting the chassis, bought a motor, bought like one set of tires, and we showed up on like an open trailer, me and a couple of my buddies, and just went and had fun with it. And then it just snowball affected ever since.
Fantastic. I mean, so now that you've been racing a couple races in the slingshot, what is it? How do you like the division? I know some people are eager to get out of it as soon as they finish a season, or is it just you can see yourself running these for quite a while? I mean, Brett Bieber and Kyle here, they've been running for over
14 years.
14 years, almost, yeah, over a decade. So, I mean, what's the thought process so far since you've just started and you said your brother raced them?
So I mean, when I was younger, back when we were still helping Andy and stuff like that, my brother was crew chief for Andy, and he was racing slingshots on the side. Actually, Kyle, I think you've raced against him a couple times at indoors.
Probably.
And so I had an idea about the slingshot stuff, and then this season, midway through the season, I was just really getting tired of the go-kart stuff and the tire game, the different motors, and all the different track rules wherever you went. So I finally was just had enough of it and wanted to go slingshot race. And then so I sold everything, bought a slingshot, and it's just, again, been a snowball effect ever since. This off season, though, we just bought a second car. Like I was saying, we picked it up yesterday, and actually Robbie's going to dust off his old helmet, and he's going to hop in for a couple of races next season. And so it's going to be pretty cool to race against my brother, especially when he was racing. I was so little and always wanted to race and always wanted to race against him at some point in my life. And so I'm very excited to go do that. But so far, just in the future is just to race slingshots next season or whatever else I could possibly even get into, whether it's a ride or whatever the case may be. That's all I want to do is just race, get behind the wheel of something.
What tracks are you normally at with the slingshot or the go-kart stuff?
With the go-kart stuff, I ran Lebanon Valley Kart Track on Friday nights, and then I travel quite a bit to Caroga Creek, Dodge City. Raced out in Norwich, New York in February of last year for an indoor race. But for the slingshot stuff, next year we're going to call Friday night home at Lebanon Valley Speedway, as they did a phenomenal job. Tim, Freddie, Ryan, all of them guys, they did a phenomenal job rebuilding the track for slingshot division. So that's going to be coming back next season. and then we're gonna call Sunday home at Glen Ridge as well.
Yeah,
Glen Ridge.
I raced Caroga and Glen Ridge one time each when I was up there when they were part of the Northeast Tour. I want to say 2019.
Gotcha.
Caroga was fun. That was when I think they had first redone the track, and we were super fast there, but started pole in the feature and ended up wrecking the keyway and the gear hub, and then went to the backup car for Glen Ridge the next day, set track record, and won the race, which was pretty cool because I usually suck at big tracks.
Yeah, no, Glen Ridge is very unique. It's like it's hammered down and stuff like that, but it's not a one lane track. Like you could pass on the top, bottom, middle, through,
Definitely.
like you can go wherever you want and pass and win. I think my second night in the car, we ended up winning from ninth there, and like to go. And when we were going through the field, it was just like you could go wherever you wanted. The track was awesome.
That's amazing, dude. Because like
Yeah.
these cars are so difficult, and I'm showing pictures of your blue car right now, but the cars are so difficult, and it seems like the learning curve is so high. So did it help having your brother kind of in your corner, or like yeah, I guess
Absolutely.
having a previous person that ran slingshots and won slingshots, I guess that makes a pretty big deal. Instead of going into a completely fresh.
Absolutely, yeah. No, when I bought the car, the first thing I did was brought it right to Roddy's house, and he took like 3 or 4 weeks with me to teach me everything I need to know about maintaining the car and stuff like that. And he's very meticulous with everything he does. Like, and sometimes he gets into arguments with me about even just washing the car because he wants it so clean. That sometimes I have to get better on working on that sort of stuff. But he is very meticulous on every little thing to make sure the race car is good. And I've learned like that's how you got to go. That's how you got to do things in order to go fast. And so having him in my corner for when I got the car right out of the gate is big. We bought that car out of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I drove 6 hours on a Saturday morning, left at 2 a.m. from my house in Connecticut. Got that
Holy
car
cow.
and brought right to his house. Yeah. And then the next day, it was a Tobias Series race, and my brother called me at 11 in the morning and goes, "Hey, do you mind if I take the car and go shake it down?" I said, "Sure." So we all hopped in the truck and we went up to Glen Ridge, and he drove, I think, like 13th to 6th or 7th with it the first time in
Yeah.
the car and in a car in 8 years. And also with no setup, no tires, no spares, no nothing. He just went out and was winging it. And I think it was a green to checkered race too. So to go forward like that was huge. And when he got out of the car, he said we had a good piece. And so it's been up like that ever since. And he's good with the setup stuff. Like I said, like he was crew chief for Bicchetti, he was crew chief for Lombardo. And so he's very good with the modified stuff. And he's always kind of explained to me that the numbers that you hit on a modified are very similar to what you hit on a slingshot. And so he was always very good. And then the experience from racing slingshots previously and setting up the cars like that, it was just huge to have him behind the whole setup operation and stuff like that to get me going right out of the box.
Yeah, because it ain't easy doing that for sure. Sorry, I'm just making
The slingshots are, definitely like you were saying. The maintenance thing is huge, especially when you're running those bigger tracks. You got to have everything everything on point. What was the most surprising thing moving from go karts to the slingshot? Something you might not have expected, either maintenance wise or driving wise, with the car.
Honestly, it was really the rollover in with the suspension. Really, it took me a couple laps to get used to it. Once I did, then I kind of, was just like, okay, head down. I can keep my foot in it because I'd lift going into the corner, not much, but I would, just because it kind of made me a little nervous on the rollover from the right front to the right rear and then driving back off the corner. And so once I got used to that, it felt natural. Especially racing Glen Ridge, racing Glen Ridge is a momentum track. It's just like go-kart racing. So I feel like that was a big thing. That was a big help going from the karts to racing at Glen Ridge because your driving style is very similar. Another big thing I had to get used to was how much the track changed. I mean, in a go-kart, the track gets slick and stuff like that, but it's nothing like when you race a slingshot, especially at the ridge from the big cars pulling the track off. And when you get in the corner and you can feel the rear end of the car kicking out in the center because it's slick there, it's like, whoa, this is weird. So you have to kind of get used to a couple different things.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm watching. What I have pulled up right now is the GoPro that I put on your car at Oakland Valley, and just like watching you drive this, and you still being super new, but like your hands barely move, which is
That's
crazy.
one thing.
Like I don't know if you can see it, Kyle, but like he's not even turning the wheel to the left when he's going in the turn. Is that just a setup? Like I guess this question is directed to both you and Kyle, but like, if your car's set up super super well, do you even need to turn the wheel half the time?
No.
No.
A lot of that is we set that whole thing up like a go-kart for me, especially for that track. And so I would be able to lift, and like you were just explaining, like the car turned in for me, and that sort of thing. And I noticed with Oakland Valley, and from talking to Robbie and stuff like that, he said when he ran there years ago, is it's right around the bottom, and you have to be nice and easy on it, or else you're not going to go fast. And so in hot laps, I was just kind of taking a couple laps nice and easy to get a feel for it. But I noticed myself passing cars in hot laps, which was rare, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And so I kept with that, and the car just kept getting faster and faster and faster. Every lap, I'd try a couple different things of where to hit my marks, and once I kind of figured out where I need to exactly hit my marks to set a fast lap, it was up from there. Oakland Valley is definitely one of my favorite tracks.
It's cool. I mean, he's got plans to do like 3 nights a month, I think, like 3 Fridays a month, I think was his initial plan. I don't know how that's going to change or what's going to change. I know he's got to make a lot of updates going into, get the lights fixed, get some corner flaggers, like make sure all the radios, like, normal stuff just to make it, better. But he did a great job with the three nights that we had. And it was just, even I took a couple laps in the slingshot. I wasn't very comfortable. I was not very comfortable, but I took some laps, and it was good. After a couple laps, I tried to start to figure it out. Like, micro movements are better, because the last car I drove was a 600, so once you're throwing it in there, you're crossed up. So like I tried to do that with I was like doing that with the slingshot a little bit, and if I made too big of an adjustment, the car like shot to the right coming out of the turn. So it's like, it's just like a feel thing, I guess. But like, man, just watching the video that we took a couple months ago, I guess at this point, it's like your hands barely move. They're just barely twitching a little bit just to keep it like as straight as possible, because you said it's very momentum based, and I don't know how that translates over to the big cars, but I'm sure it translates pretty well, at least for the crates, because you got to be like, it's pretty momentum based. You can't drive it like a modified, from what I hear.
Right.
But
yeah, no, that track is, like I said, like I just started driving it like a go-kart, like I would in a go-kart, and it seemed to work, and I just kind of stuck with that driving style there, and it seems to have paid off.
Yeah,
so
you definitely kind of drive Oakland Valley like a go-kart track. It's pretty close to Snydersville is up here, or in PA, and
that
just
track's
a bit
tiny,
bigger.
bro. That track's
Yeah,
tiny.
I know. But it drives the same way. It's the
Okay,
same
okay.
feel going through the corner, where it's pretty flat. And I mean, given I haven't been to Oakland Valley in a couple of years since the slingshots really stopped touring up that way, but they both have the same go-kart track sort of feel, where it's super flat and you have to be super, super easy through the corners and getting in, or you end up just pushing wide.
That's what happened to all the Hamlin people when they went there for the first time. They were just like washing out hard, because they're used to Hamlin, where you're driving that sucker in hard and coming out as straight as you can, man, because Hamlin's such a different beast to, like, at least from viewing it on the tower every week, man. They really throw it in there. I don't know. That's just how you got to do it, or it seems to work, I guess.
I like Hamlin. I mean, Hamlin's a fun track to race. Like, we went there for the first time. I think it was like one of my last races of the season. We were fast right out of the gate. I think we set quick time in hot laps or something like that, and ran second to Navarro in the heat. But she was gone, dude. She's a freaking wheel.
Yeah, definitely.
When she's on, man, for sure. Like, it's hard to keep up with her, for sure. Casey Gerwaski? I don't know. He said AJ with a smiley face, and Tyler White said AJ's the GOAT. We'll have to see if that's true. But yeah, so I guess we'll circle back to the modified thing. You are pretty close at you said, was it Perego or Bichetti?
We were close with Bichetti for a long
Bichetti, and I think he just won at Accord on Saturday.
Yeah, I seen something. He was running in the top 3 or something like that.
So I mean, like, you got the connections there. So like, when are we getting into modified, man? I mean, like,
I'd love to.
Even
honestly,
for just some laps.
Scott
I
was
mean,
probably with somebody else. Brandon Lane is a very good family friend of mine. him and I have been very close the past 3 years. I've been helping on his big block on at Lebanon Valley on Saturday nights, and his whole family, and actually a couple of the sponsors helped me out a ton with my whole racing program. So if I get into a modified, I think it'd be something with him.
Is that something you'd want to do, or is it just
I'd love to. It's just a financial situation.
Oh, sure. It's racing, man. It's always a financial situation. That's what it feels like. I didn't know if modifieds were like the thing, or if it was like late models or sprint cars, or what the aspirations for the future were.
Right. Honestly, I don't know. Like I said, I'd love to race a modified at some point in my life, but honestly, I've been watching the micros more and more and watching them grow more and more. Honestly, if anything to move up, I'd probably go to a micro sprint. They look so much fun.
Is there a lot of micro racing up that way?
There's really not. And that's why it's like so intriguing to me, is because there's no micro racing up here at all. I mean, you can race I think they're like 500s at Devil's Bowl in Vermont, but that's the only one that I know of where they race micro sprints. Like, if anything, I'd like to travel to Hamlin and race micros on a weekly basis, because they seem like they get a good car count every week.
Yeah, definitely. The micros are definitely fun. It's just a learning curve going from the slingshot the way it drives to going from the slingshot to the micro. It's definitely a learning experience. It's a lot of fun though.
Is it just like up on the wheel? Like, how would you explain the transition? Is it just like hammer down and then and cross your arms up constantly?
Cars, yeah, I mean, it's a big jump in power, how much power the micro has, and just like a totally different suspension setup where you have shocks that you can adjust, and you can get them to get the shocks to actually eat up the bumps a little bit more in the track, whereas the slingshot, you're kind of locked in with the sealed shock on what you got and can't change valving or make any adjustments. So if the track's rough, you're probably going to have to just suffer and bounce through it. Whereas the micro, if the track's rough, you can throw a different set of shocks on and it eats it up a little bit more.
Okay. I think your dad has just chimed in and said, "Are you crazy? You crazy?" Going for the micros. I mean, I'm sure he wants to see you in a modified, if anything, or maybe just like a sportsman or something.
I bet you he does. He probably wants to see.
We can definitely
something if I was to move up.
Tell you what, man. If I hit the lottery, I'll buy you whatever you want. That's what I'm gonna do. If I can figure out a way to make a ton of money somehow, maybe one of these you ever get those ads? How to make $30,000 a month. If I hit one of those things, every guest will get a race car after the podcast. That's the goal, baby. Just buy everybody race cars.
Right.
The Oprah of dirt racing.
Exact. Oh my gosh, you get a car and you get a car. That'd be great.
I see somebody in the comments. What's up, Ryan?
Oh, that's awesome.
He's one of our sponsors, Section 8 Race Camp.
You want to talk about him a little bit, or maybe?
Yeah, he's a really good dude. Him and his whole family, Stacy, everybody like that. They help out me and one of my very close family friends, TJ, with finances and stuff like that. So they're super cool. They're really they're awesome to hang out with and all that sort of stuff. They're huge race fans.
Nice. Shifting away from racing just a little bit, I know that you work for how do you pronounce it? Velocita, yeah. Velocita. I guess they make racing protection stuff like suits and helmets and gloves and all that other fun stuff.
Yep. So I'm a graphic designer for them, and actually it's coming up on about a year now. February 15th will be 1 year that I've been doing design work for them, and they're awesome. Like, everybody that works there is like family. It's a one big family if you work for Velocita, between Kylie, Brad, Michelle, Dave, Amy. Everybody that works at Velocita is just so awesome. They all treat you well, treat you with respect, like that sort of stuff. And when we travel to shows, it's just a ball of fun. It's like a bus full of idiots all showing up to a show just to make ourselves look like fools. It's fun though.
You're gonna have to be my connection for my next race suit, because I've been using a competitor and not terribly happy with them the last couple suits I've got.
We'll get you hooked up.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have to hit you up about that.
Yes, sir. Look at that. Connections, getting more suits sold. Nate Freed in the comments says AJ designed his suit, so that's pretty cool. Nate Freed's a good friend going into the 600s this year, so that's super cool.
Yeah,
like,
I actually walked up to him at Hamlin and I was like, "Hey, your suit looks familiar." And he goes, "Oh yeah," and I was like, "I'm pretty sure I did that." And then that night I went home and looked in my email and searched up the name, and sure as hell I did it. I was like,
That's
I knew
funny.
it.
That's fantastic,
man.
dude.
Nate's a wheel in the slingshot. Helped him and his dad out this season. His dad was my Snap-on distributor at the shop I was managing, and then let him take a few hot laps in the micro, and he got hooked right away at Hamlin. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But like, how does it feel to work?
Nate,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I watched Nate all year at Hamlin, and I was like, when I go there, I was like, that's the guy I got to beat.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's smooth. He's smooth operator for sure. Like, how does it feel to work in the industry that you love so much? Like, as far as like, you love to race, but then you get a job designing and doing stuff for race car drivers. So like, that seems like the dream come true, and you get to work from home.
Right. It is. It's an amazing thing. Like I was saying, Velocity treats you so well between pay and everything, in the bonuses and stuff like that. And so to work in the industry and get paid well to do it is, you don't feel like you work a day in your life.
Man, I got to get into a race shop or like an engine shop or something, because I do like precision machining. I just inspect parts and stuff and look at CAD models and stuff. So like, maybe I could get into an engine shop somewhere and help them check motors. That'd be freaking great.
So in high school, I went and took a shop for graphic design and stuff like that. And at this point, we were in the midst of helping LJ Lombardo and stuff like that. And I really started to take a liking to the graphic design stuff. And that's how that whole thing came about, and how I became a designer. So I had a passion for designing race car wraps and all that sort of stuff. And I had a passion for racing. So when I reached out to Velocita and they were like, "Yeah, we'd love to have you," that was a dream come true.
Dang, that's so cool. And you said they sent you like different shows and like, travel and stuff?
Yeah, I went to Bristol last year, last March, end of March, early April, with everybody. Got over my fear of flying for that one.
Man.
And went to Bristol, and we had a blast. Like, the whole weekend was so much fun between me, Mark, Kylie, and Justin. It was absolute free for all. So much fun. Met a bunch of cool people. Seen like Scott Bloomquist trailer. I went and met Kyle Strickler. I met a whole bunch of people there, and it was just amazing.
Man, that's so cool. That is
right, and it was the weirdest thing about that whole thing is like standing in the pits at a big event like that and seeing all the big name guys, and Kyle Larson is standing literally 15 feet away from you.
Yeah.
he's kind of short though, right?
Yeah, he's pretty short.
Is he? I feel like all these guys that are short are like amazing drivers. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like that jockey thing where
lightweight and low center of gravity.
Right.
You can put the extra weight wherever you want.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you see all the guys that run stuff like the midgets and sprint cars are usually smaller guys, and then any of the bigger guys are in modifieds where it doesn't matter as much.
True, but I mean, you can move the weight around a lot in the modified.
Yeah,
I think, I don't know. There's like, what if you're in big blocks, 2,400 pounds, and then small blocks 23. I don't really know the difference. The big blocks you have it's a lot of weight with the big block, just because the engine weighs so freaking much.
I'm not sure what the USAC. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say,
he's worked on them before. He knows how to. You know how to scale them, AJ?
No, not even the slightest.
Oh my gosh! You're like, I worked with Bacchetti for so long, or Prego.
Personally, I was younger when the whole thing with like Bacchetti was. I was younger. It was really more when I took an interest of helping and stuff like that. When I was with LJ and then Brandon and stuff like that. That's really where I learned like a lot, and they've taught me a bunch about like just more like tires and stuff like that. My father's been doing tires for people for, I don't know, 18, 20, 30 years, something like that. I have no idea. And so he taught me almost everything he knows about tires and stuff like that on a big block. And my brother teaches me a little bit here and there. But I mean, no genius. I'm just a basic helper on the big block stuff.
Tell me what to do, and I'll do it.
Right.
Your dad said 2,500 pounds for the big blocks. Yeah, I was close. I wasn't quite there, but yeah, that's a lot of weight to be rowing around. And you said you're with Paquetti, man. I mean, he's like the king of Lebanon Valley. I mean, I feel like he wins every week down there. That big half mile.
Yeah, he's a wheel man.
Man.
He's
got quite the hauler too. I saw him at Bloomsburg, and I mean, that is a big hauler too. Like, god damn. Matt Shepard rolls in with like he's driving, and it's just like a regular trailer with a car in it, and some of these guys, like, man, they got some big haulers. Like Godown's got a big one too. It's
right.
wild.
I think Godown's trailer is actually Andy's old one, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah. I think so.
That's funny.
That's wild, dude. Yeah, man. So like, I guess you haven't been racing too long, but like, do you have any like super funny stories like at the racetrack, or like, well, I guess you've been around racing like your whole life. Did anything stand out as like your like a funny moment, especially with like the big cars and like?
Oh, I got a really good one actually. So we were under rain delay last year at Lebanon Valley, and the front stretch was like just soaked in mud, and so between me, Brandon, and the guys parked next to us, Johnny Rivers, they bet me $50 that I wouldn't go and do a belly slide across the front stretch. And so I took them up on that bet.
$50, baby. Let's
I
go.
looked in across the front stretch and belly slid for about 25 feet.
That's funny.
That's dinner, man. What are they doing? Easy money.
that was funny.
Do you ever have to encounter, like, you said you were at the races a lot with Paquetti and over the years, so like, did you ever have to, I don't know, has he ever encountered any like hostile competitors after specific races? Because I know back in the day it was more like if you got into each other, then there was more of a confrontation. But that was like the norm back then, like at some of the smaller tracks, maybe not the bigger tracks, but
not so much really. Like that, like I said before, like when the whole thing with Andy, I was younger. I was like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, so I was never really like too much in the pits there. I really don't remember too much about what with Andy. With LJ or Brandon, I really can't remember anything really either in the recent years. I mean, you get into somebody on the track and you get angry at each other, but I really can't remember any stories like that.
No? Did you ever get into it with anybody on the track? Like as far as like, maybe like they rough you up a little bit, so you're roughing them up?
Yeah, I mean, there was never nothing like to talk about afterwards. It was just kind of like hey, you doored me, I doored you back, now we're even. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I always find that interesting.
Right. I try to race everybody the way they race me. You know what I mean? And so, like, if you door me, I'll door you back, and that's it. If you race me clean, I'll race you clean. That's just how I am. You know what I mean? And
I mean, that's a good way to go about it. I mean, anymore, it seems like racing's gotten so aggressive. Like when you say you're an aggressive driver, like that means you're hitting about 3 or 4 people on your way to the front. I mean, you're probably fast. Don't get me wrong, but racing has gotten
that much.
No, I I understand. It's just I've been watching a lot more sprint cars than anything. Seems like in the modifieds they're pretty, they have that system kind of worked out. Like everyone's really clean. Because you got to answer to one another, multiple times a week, especially like short track super series or the super dirt car series, or they just like not talk about it, but like figure it out on the track. You know what I mean? But as far as the sprint cars, like you said, you wanted to move into them. It's very, very aggressive, and people are like, I don't know. These kids like want to slide 2 or 3 people in a turn. I mean. When it works, but man, when it does not work, it's bad. It's bad.
A lot of it is my aggressive driving style. I really don't know where it comes from. I think it's a very big mixture between Andy and LJ because those were the 2 drivers I remember most growing up, and they're both very on the throttle, like try not to lift as much as they can. You know what I mean? And so. Watching those 2 the whole time is, I guess I kind of learned from that. And when I was in a slingshot, I had to like kind of tone it back a couple times where like at Hamlin in the heat race, Lydia like absolutely smoked me. And I think it's talking to like Danny Buckafuska or something. He's like, yeah, no, he's like, you got to back up your entry. He goes, I'm watching. He goes, you're trying to not lift. And
Oh yeah.
that was like a big wake up call for me right there. I was like, huh. And so in the feature, I lifted, and I think like I got spun out, and I drove like from 22nd all the way back to like 6th or 7th or something like that before I got spun again. But when I was lifting on entry, the car was just lightning quick.
Yeah, you came on the night that we had like a ton of slingshots. Like the whole year was like averaging 10 or less usually.
Right. We were fast though, which was shocking to me because I from what I've heard, like Hamlin is like the cream of the crop. Like that's the best slingshot drivers in the Northeast, or maybe even in the country. You know what I mean? Since slingshots are the biggest in the Northeast, I don't really know. So going there, I was like, okay, like these are the guys if I'm gonna be a good driver, these are the guys I gotta beat. And so to run up front there and be fast right out of the gate, set fast time, never turned a lap there in my life. Like that was a big accomplishment, and that was kind of like a little pat on the back type deal. I was like, okay, like we got something, like, and we got a good car underneath us, and between the knowledge of everybody is just a huge help. So
yeah, I mean, Kyle can kind of speak more on that because he's been driving there for many years. But I feel personally like it's one of the top tracks for slingshots besides Kutztown. I say Kutztown is probably the biggest just because of the eyes that are on it with Flow Racing and stuff. But I mean, I'm trying to keep up with them, giving them, weekly coverage and all their races for the last 2 years and stuff to try to bring people in. But I mean, it's a big deal, and it's still a big deal for people to win at Hamlin because it's so difficult to do so. I don't know, Kyle. What do you think?
I only have one win at Hamlin in 14 years, so, and that wasn't even in my own car. That was when I raced for Donaldson. But
and that just goes to show you how tough that place is.
Yeah, I mean, Hamlin has definitely got a lot of good drivers. Kind of unfortunately over the last 4 or 5 years, the slingshot division everybody's gone to their own little separate corners, and you have a couple good guys that run at Kutztown, a couple good guys that run at Linda's, a couple guys at Shellhammers, a couple guys at Hamlin. So, when we used to have the tour and it would go around, you would get all the good guys together. Now, really, it's like a lot of people come together for Speed Week, and that's a big deal. But there are definitely a lot of young, talented drivers that run weekly at Hamlin, and they are super, super fast and consistent there, which is a tough thing to do with the way the track is shaped and the way it changes throughout the night, and week to week the weather changes up there on top of the mountain so much that it'll change how the car runs and handles there.
Right, like that place, I remember, especially going out in hot laps, is like 1 and 2 is more banked and definitely tighter, and 3 and 4 is like more flat and a little bit wider. So it's kind of interesting because like you had to figure out how to set up your car to handle both of them pretty decently.
Yep, yeah, definitely. That's always been a big thing with Hamlin. I love the shape of that track for that reason.
Right, it's super cool, and I honestly, like you were saying about the tour and stuff like that, I'd love to see a tour come back. I mean, there's a lot of New York guys, and honestly, like when we went to the Slingshot Nationals, like it was almost like a turf war. Like the Pennsylvania guys wanted to beat the New York guys, and the New York guys wanted to beat the Pennsylvania guys. And, I'd love to see a tour just like so we could travel to all the different tracks. I'm like,
me too.
See the diversity of the drivers.
I want to see the tour come back. I mean, I know it's like a lot of logistics because who used to do it? Mike Feltenberger used to.
He used to manage it.
He did
for
a pretty good job.
But I don't know. Even when I won the Northeast Tour, there was a lot of fall off on who was traveling for it because the expenses are just so high. And I think the tour kind of went downhill when they stopped following the payout structure for it. It used to be, higher entry fees, but there was a guaranteed payout, which drew a lot more people. But like I was saying, when I ran at Glen Ridge, I think I paid a $5 entry fee. I won the race and I got paid like $75, and I'm like, that was sick for a 3-hour drive and a one-night stay out there in a hotel. Like, I got $75. I covered tires and fuel for the car.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, like, I would love to, like, that's why I pushed so hard to do speed weeks from Tobias, is I was like, this used to be like the best of the best, you know what I mean? It was like a 4-night week, and it used to be super cool to see him come through Hamlin and stuff. And even the National 50s they used to do. I know Hamlin still does some of those National 50s still. They'll do the $75 entry fee and $500 guaranteed to win. I even got a sponsor to throw an extra $200, $250 on top of it. So, like, if 24 cars showed up last year, it would have been $1,200 to win or something like that. But, like, that's the thing. Like, if if I can figure out a way, I don't know how it's possible, but I would love to try to, I don't know, expand the slingshot division a little bit so that we can get at least a handful of races where like everyone kind of comes together. Maybe it's just like no one wants to drive to Hamlin, and like you said, it's like the location of it and the expenses and stuff. So maybe I've already tried to talk to Tim for Oakland Valley. I don't know how close Oakland Valley is to all the other stuff because Kutztown and Shellhammer and stuff, they're, you know, middle
Central PA.
Central PA, and then you go up to New York and you have like Utica Rome and Caroga Creek and Glen Ridge. Like we gotta find a middle ground and just like somehow find like $5,000 or something.
I actually think Lebanon Valley is gonna host a couple of bigger races next season.
That's great, man.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's the plan is to host a couple of big money races for their season.
I'd love to see it.
To kind of bring some eyes in on that track. Like they used to run them years ago there when the go-kart track first opened. I think it was like 2012 or 2013. They ran slingshots there, and then the track was a little bit too small, and that's what I was talking about the reconfiguration as they pushed back 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 a bunch and widened the turns and stuff like that, and so the track can be run for slingshots. So I'm super excited to try that place out because that's going to be like a clean slate. Like nobody has any laps around that place, so it's going to be interesting to see who wins the championship next year.
Agreed. And I got to try to. I've been trying to get a hold of Brett Deo, the genius behind Short Track Super Series, because I want to know where he gets all of his money from. Because I want to get some money and put a little bit toward the slingshots. Because that guy's a magician or something. Because like the amount of money he was able to pay out this year alone just for the modifieds is like unreal. Like it was keeping up a little bit with like some of the late model stuff. I mean, obviously late models have the dream, the $1 million to win or something, but gosh, like he's doing something right, and he's pushing modifieds all the way down to Louisiana and Texas and all over the place, dude. He's doing everything right, and I just want to talk to him. Come on this show, Brett Deo, please.
AJ, do you think you'll come up for the 100 lapper at Hamlin if they have it next year?
Oh yes, do that.
I'd love to.
You should.
I remember when I was younger, my brother and his best friend Joe Melius, they went to the Hamlin 100. I think they had like a pit stop challenge or something. Maybe I can't remember.
They used to do the pit stop challenge.
They
haven't done it in the last couple of years.
I remember them going to that, and I don't think Robbie ended up making the show, but that was like how I got my eyes on Hamlin. And I want to race a 100 lapper. I've been trying to talk to some of the guys at Lebanon Valley to put on a 100 lapper, so we'll see what happens there.
Gosh, that'd be so
but
cool.
I'd love to bring back a pit stop challenge just because it's so unique. You never see that anymore.
I wouldn't. I don't have anybody to do it for me.
Dude, I'll lay my camera down and I'll come down and help you.
Yeah.
I will run down there and get your right side changed. Put some fuel. You don't need fuel, right? You don't need fuel?
No.
Or do you need fuel?
No, you can make it on fuel,
it's
going to be tight. Yeah. Oakland Valley used to have a 100 lapper too, and they used to have a pit stop challenge. They didn't the year that I ran, but there was a pit stop challenge at one point at Oakland Valley.
Well, Kutztown used to have the Comet 100 too.
Yeah.
But like then they got rid of it. I think Hamlin's the only one left doing it, but they do 50 laps. You get like a 10-minute pit stop. Usually people hop out, like some people stay in the car, some people hop out.
I just
like it'd be cool to like red flag the race and then like do a timed thing where like the first person to drop their car with like a right rear tire change or whatever the case may be, like no adjustments, like no fuel, none of that, or if you have to do fuel, whatever. But the first car, like with the tire change back on the ground, gets like $100 or $150 or something like that. Like make it interesting.
That would be cool. We could probably figure out, because like I want to get a lot of the Hamlin community like businesses and stuff, because there's like down in Center City, not Center City, but like the center of Hamlin, there's tons of little businesses all over the place, and I'm guarantee, because even the church, one of the churches over there, they had no idea that there was a racetrack. Like I'm like, this track's been there forever, man. Like how do you not know there's a racetrack here?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure like within like I would say a 5 to 10 mile radius from the track itself, like half of the people don't know unless they hear it. So like it would be cool to get them involved, to be like, yeah, I would even say like do lap sponsors. We'll do the pit stop challenge. Like first one done gets like $50, $100 or something.
All right,
Or
I'm
something
in
to
for
spice it up.
I'm in for the pit stop challenge. Nate just said that him and his dad will be my pit crew, so we're
Yeah,
down
boy.
for that now.
Yeah, they're
now
not
we're
racing
back.
slingshots no more. They're not racing slingshots. Mark said Linda's top 13 did a pit stop. As soon as car dropped, you took off and lined up, gained as many spots as you could. Ooh, yeah. So like you stop on the front straight, and then they give you the 1, 2, 3, and then you can do that stuff, and then they have a line or something or a cone at the other on the back straight or something, and the first one to line up at the cone gets it.
Cool.
And then you
I'm
smash
reading the
into each
comment
other
right
and you break your car trying to get
That'd be
$50.
really cool.
Gonna have guys hitting 2 lugs.
Let's go. Hey man, you're
Yeah,
gonna get the crew chief suspended for 4 races. Your crew's gonna be out of here. You don't want a loose
Yeah,
wheel.
Just thrown, your crew chief's ejected.
It's dangerous, damn it. That would be
Oh,
great. We
man.
gotta push for this. Alyssa
That would be
Albreada
so
says,
cool.
AJ, I'll do your pit stop. Is that your sister? Your Alyssa?
I don't see the comment yet.
Oh, it says, AJ, I'll do your pit stop.
Oh, that's my sister. Oh,
Okay. Oh, they checked lugs.
Oh.
Mark said they checked lugs. Ryan Smith changed his tire.
You know,
Ryan Smith hop out of his own car, do his pit stop, get back in, and go. That's what they should do. That's what they should do. As soon as they say go, you have to undo your 5-point harness, get out of the car, jack it up, change the right rear, put it down, get back in, and go. Yes, let's
that'd be
do it.
interesting.
Then it's not a pit stop challenge.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
just swap drivers. At
Oh,
lap
we
50
changed.
instead.
We changed Simons,
Yeah,
his future
right.
brother-in-law.
You have to get out. All right, swap drivers.
Oh my gosh, you got swap drivers.
Yeah, like the go-kart
Yes.
stuff. I mean, the endurance go-kart stuff. That'd be fun.
Oh my goodness, dude! At that point, we could just do a 200 lapper. Don't even bring any of the Just have a solo day of just slingshots.
I
No
don't
other
think a
division.
Slingshot will make 200 laps. To be honest,
Right.
100
Honestly,
lap pit stop. You got to do 100 laps before you get a pit stop.
give me.
I think the 100 lapper is like max. I mean, I did 50 at Caroga Creek, and the track rubbered up. I was like dead after 50 laps. I barely even got out of the car.
Like you get,
Gotta-
we
gotta
can
hit
count
the gym.
caution laps, so don't worry because you'll get a lot of breaks because everyone just runs into each other.
You know what? They used to count cautions to lap 80 at Hamlin. I don't remember exactly how many laps it was. I think it was 2018, 2019. We had one 100 lap race that just went. I don't know. I feel like there was one that went flag to flag,
Oh, my
unless they had a pit
God.
stop. But there was one race I remember being in where I think we ran 50 laps straight at least, if not
Oh,
more.
That's got to be brutal. I ran like
Yeah,
a 20 lapper one
yeah.
time, and I was like, I'm dying.
Man,
can't
Mark
do
said
it.
they did a
At that Kroger race was green until we got back to a bad red flag. Somebody flipped on the backstretch. But that first 30 laps, like until that red flag came out, I was dead. I was like out of breath under red. I was like,
Yeah,
"Dude,
that's probably
like,
why
drive me
it's probably why they flipped, man. They just like my arms don't work anymore, and then they flipped over. Yeah, maybe we don't do that. I'm just getting a little ambitious.
Yeah, I mean, with the slingshot, it's just running that engine for that long. I don't know how long the engine would be able to hold up. Plus, the chain is, even if you
Oh.
have chain lube on that, you're gonna cook a chain.
Even if you have the little bottle built in.
Yeah, I think
Really?
you'll still end up cooking it. I
Yeah, so
mean,
maybe 50 and 50 is probably the way to go.
I mean, unless you give us like 15 minutes, can change chains and everything at lap 100.
A
but I
true
don't think you're
pit
going
stop
much over
challenge.
100.
A true
Change,
pit stop
yeah.
challenge.
I'd be changing oil, and I mean, also the clutch is gonna
Oh,
is
You know,
gonna
I
get
seen
stuck up.
that. I seen that on somebody's car that they had like a chain lube bottle, like duct taped their frame and like a hose that went all the way down their chain. Like, is that legal? I didn't even know. I
Yeah.
thought it was so interesting.
Yeah, you can have
Yeah.
that.
The funniest thing I saw was, I don't remember who posted it, but there's a picture of Scott Neary's car when he was racing for SNS at the World Finals a couple years ago, coming across the scale when he like timed quick, and somebody said something about that being illegal, that it was like going to the intake or something. And it's just like the chain lube bottle. He just never took it out of the car, just had it in there.
Yeah.
I used to just have like a little oil can with a hose that ran, and I would just push it to push lube back there. But the problem is, when you start spraying that, it starts getting on the clutch. Then your clutch starts getting all gunked up, and
Yeah, so
Right,
it's,
right,
it's,
right.
it's only for
It's-
like the 100 lapper just to give it a little bit if it's a long run.
Yeah, you can't really, even if you can get lucky with a good nickel plated chain, if you have it, soaked right before the race, that it'll last the whole race without drying up too bad. But
Sure.
yeah, you can't really see how much of that you're putting out there. A lot of the time where these are strapped in there, you're kind of just reaching over like, I don't even know if I'm pushing the button, I can't feel it. So just hitting it, hoping it's spraying, and you don't know how much it's spraying, and it gets all over everything. Like I said, gums up the clutch, which isn't good.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think once Halen releases their schedule or whatever, then we're gonna have to at least get some confirmation on some stuff for sure. And I know when they release their thing, they're probably gonna have some of those bigger money races. It's gonna be like an arm and a leg to get into it, but if we can like promote it early on to get people excited about it, then we can guarantee people to come in early enough so that's not like a last minute like, oh, we should promote it the week of the race. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think we can get a good amount of people to come, like 25, 30 cars. Because it used to be, man, it used to be like 30 plus cars. We used to not be able to make the race half the time. Like
they used to
I'd
start,
like to see a race like that. I'd like to see a race where
30.
they get a bunch of cars.
What do you say, Kyle?
Hamlin would start 30 cars in the 100 lapper.
Yeah, it's what I mean.
I've started 29th in that race.
Hell, they used to have so many rookie 600s. They had to run 2 features.
Yeah.
Because they guaranteed like you would run the feature, so they would have 40 rookies, and they'd have to split them up 20 and 20. Like it was insane. But I'd love to see some good slingshot races this year. I mean, that's the goal, right? So we can promote it here. We can guarantee there's going to be video coverage of it. So super excited, and I definitely want you, AJ, to come down as much as you can, because then we get to talk to you more, and we get to see the sweet new car.
How far is Hamlin for you?
I think it's like 2 hours and 2.5 hours.
Jesus
2 hours 45
Christ,
minutes.
maybe not so much. Gee,
Not the worst.
Not the worst.
No,
I hate driving an hour. I'm like, ugh.
So
Somebody drive me.
Like our closest track is only like an hour and a halp from us. Like that's the closest track, and that's on the valley.
I can't imagine.
That's how I am too.
Dude, I could walk to Hamlin. I'm 2 miles from the track.
Brag about it. Sheesh.
I have to drive like an hour and a half to Shellhammers, and I'm like, this is so boring.
That's like there's a guy that runs like a hobby stock at Bridgeport. He lives in the house that is at the end of the pit entry road for Bridgeport.
So
at the end of the night, I watched him drive his car back to his garage.
I was just about to say, yeah, you don't even need to
I would love it, dude. That's the dream, bro. That's the dream.
Kyle probably knows what I'm talking about here, but at Glen Ridge, it's like down a dirt road to get to the track, and there's a house literally right there on the other side of the pit gate, and you can probably do the same thing if you race.
Yeah, definitely.
That's so sick. All right, man. Well, we're winding it down here a little bit. Oh, Robert Albreada, I think that's your dad, right? He says it's 3 hours and 20 minutes to Hamlin. You're a liar. It's an hour and a half more than you said.
Sounds like he needs to drive a little faster.
Yeah, maybe you're not the one driving, right?
Yeah, no.
Like I think it's 2 hours, but I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, he slept that 1 hour, so it doesn't count, right?
I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're winding down here. Really appreciate you being on. If you want to shout out any social media sponsors, what your plans are for next year, the floor is all yours. You could tell everyone watching what you're doing.
I just want to thank everybody that's involved in this program and stuff like that. Between my brother, my father, my mom, my dad, anybody that's even pitched in, whether it's $50 a part, whatever it is, like it doesn't go unnoticed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And from my main sponsors, literally down to a part giver, it does not go unnoticed. And I just want everybody to know that, from starting go-karts and stuff like that to where I'm at now. And we'll see what happens next season. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully got some big plans that hopefully go through and we're able to accomplish and stuff like that to put on the resume.
Any of the sponsors that you want to shout out specifically, or is it just wait until the wrap comes out?
We'll wait until the wrap comes out.
Oh, okay.
So there's a bunch of stuff up in the air now, but as of right now, I just want to like I said, thank everybody that's ever done anything for me or the team or
Mhm.
whatever the case may be and that sort of stuff. But I'm definitely looking forward to 2023, especially after how our season went this year with my car and then having my brother come back to race a couple races. That's going to be a bunch of fun. And we got some cool things definitely for next season in store. So
Mhm.
just be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, and you mentioned one before we started, so like we'll just leave it as a mystery, but it's gonna be pretty sweet. It's gonna be pretty sweet. I can't wait for that to happen.
Absolutely.
Any plans to make an indoor appearance?
Ooh,
I'd love to, but
You got
just
the new
between
car.
yeah,
stuff
you got
like
two
that,
cars
it's
now.
just-
Perfect time to do it.
It would be a lot of fun, but just between the finances and stuff like that right now, it's not in the budget to do it. It costs a lot of money to go down to Atlantic City or Allentown from where we're at to race for a weekend.
Definitely.
True.
Understood. Still worth it though.
You got any?
It's an
I,
experience.
I'd love to do it at some point, but I don't think it's possible this year. Probably maybe next year. Probably next year. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. You got like a racing page or anywhere they can find your website, stuff like that?
Yeah, I do a lot of my posting right on my Facebook page, just AJ Albreada. I've been slacking on my motorsports page, Albreada Motorsports. I just updated our profile picture with our new colors on the logo. So
Nice.
if that gives anybody a hint, then you'll see what that is. That's all about.
You got
Next season's gonna be big though. I can't express that enough. Next year is gonna be a lot of fun
Mm-hmm.
between just the family going to bond over racing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You have to let me know when you get some apparel. I'd love to get an AJ Albreada shirt.
Absolutely. That might be in the work here pretty soon. I've been working on a couple different designs for some shirts. And
Oh yeah,
get
you're a
some
graphic
opinions.
designer. You can just do your own
Yeah.
shirts.
Yeah,
This is
so
great.
I've been cooking up some new designs. We'll see what happens for next year.
Awesome, man. Well, any closing thoughts, Kyle?
No, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you at the Hamlin 100 lapper next year, as that is probably the only start that I have scheduled for the slingshot right now.
Nice.
Oh,
any
boy.
any well, we'll see how he does, but any shot he could take a couple laps in your micro? Ooh, maybe not. Maybe.
Oh.
How much
Oh,
money
boy.
does it cost to drive Kyle Hervey's 600? We can rent it. We could pool our money and rent it for like 10 laps.
I'm gonna have to just rent the track out, and every one of our guests is gonna get to take 5 laps.
I mean, I wouldn't say let's not put it past us because
Head
We-
from
I'm gonna make a wrap for you, like
Yeah.
the movie.
There we
RV
go.
with the
He can-
guys on the side of it.
he'll design
Put
something
on
for
the top.
you for some laps. We can figure out how much a lap is worth. And then,
Right.
yeah, right. I had yesterday. Kyle from last week was still asking me about running it, so
oh my gosh. Well, hey man, you might be able to make a quick buck if you start letting people take 5-10
Yeah.
practice
Open a
laps,
rental
man. I'm not
business.
kidding. Well, AJ, I really appreciate you being on here and chatting with us about racing and your plans and your experiences so far with racing. So I wish you best of luck with your double car setup next year. It's gonna be wild, man. I mean, it's wild with one, so good luck with two,
Absolutely.
and you get to drive with your brother, which is
you.
probably like a dream come true. So that's super cool. Maybe even for your dad too, to be honest.
Yeah, he's stoked about it. I already know as soon as he sees both of our cars rolling on the track side by side, I know he's going to be stoked.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. But no, I just appreciate you having me on and asking me to come out and do this. I like doing this sort of thing of doing the podcast interviews, like that sort of thing. I like talking to people, meet new people.
Yeah, it's super fun, and we really appreciate you taking the time to be here. And it's silly as it sounds. It's hard to find an hour sometimes once a week to dedicate to something. So luckily, we've been. What'd you say, Kyle? What was our hump that we had to get over? Eight episodes or 7
8.
episodes? All right, this is
8.
number 9. We made it.
Now
We're locked in, baby. We're locked
Right.
in for the rest of the year, at least.
Yep.
Yeah, well, AJ, we hope to see you at Hamlin this year. I'm sure I'll see you somewhere else. I don't know. Let me know when you're going to Lebanon Valley or Oakland Valley, and then I'll definitely try to get up there to meet up with you then. But really appreciate you guys being
Absolutely.
here. Really appreciate everybody watching, and especially the comments. The comments are huge. Engagement, the likes, shares, comments. They do huge things for the channel, and especially for the the video itself. Really appreciate that. Want to take a second to thank the sponsors. Our primary sponsor, MCM Contracting. Just fantastic. Really helps out the channel a lot. The shop, Automotive Detailing, which AJ knows, and I think you're pretty good friends with him. Bodie Marks and Mark. Yeah, they're great. And Bodie Marks Racing. He won yesterday, so that's pretty cool. Tyler White says Rip Lip come to SNS December 11th for the King of the Concrete.
Oh yes, you should. That's gonna be a huge race.
Maybe?
Last year we did it at
December 11th.
Checkers Out Speedway.
Where was
That's
it?
a Sunday. I can't do that. That's a show.
Yeah,
I gotta do my show.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I could
So,
try to do it
King of the
live
Concrete.
at King of the Concrete.
Cool.
That would be
really
that would be wild.
I know you should though. So last year we did it at Checkers Out up by Fonda, New York, by Fonda Speedway, and all it was like a bunch of modified drivers, like slingshot drivers, like all sorts of different stuff. And it's like, you know what SNS Speedways is, like anybody can go and race, and it's $500 to win.
Oh my
and like
god.
we just had a ball doing it. So like for me as a go-kart racer, I was racing side by side with like Colby Schroeder and like Joey Coppola, who are two modified drivers at Lebanon Valley.
That's so
like
cool.
that's just super cool to me. You know what I mean?
And it's like,
so,
yeah, that'd be great. What's up,
Yeah, so now
Rob,
this
Tyler,
year-
Rob again?
You know, this year it's going to be at SNS, and it's going to be even bigger and better. So we're going to see what happens. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm going.
I mean, once I
down-
get the Procaster, it's called the Rode Procaster. It comes with like a mixing board, 4 mics and 4 headsets. Once I do that, I can be mobile. I mean, I could technically be mobile like what I'm doing now, but everything's like kind of haphazard, and it's just like me and my computer. And if I do the other way, I can have multiple microphones, so it sounds good. We'll put that on the back burner. I don't think it'll happen this year, unfortunately.
No.
But
There was a kid that used to race at Lehigh Valley Grand Prix weekly on Monday nights, and he had a streaming setup. He had a case that had a laptop with an antenna, and he would put a GoPro on his helmet, and it was wired to his helmet, and would live stream that for people to watch on Twitch.
You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that kind of crap anymore. I mean,
Well, we can put in-car
GoPros just do it
cameras.
on. GoPros have it built in now. Doug Smith live streamed his hot laps at Afton.
Yeah.
He's just like attached it onto his helmet and then went. It's definitely possible. That'd be cool. Like do a production thing where like we're switching cameras. Then we're moving into like the Dirt Track TV or whatever, or Dirt Digest or whatever. Dirt Track Digest.
Yeah.
But no, I mean that's the plan, is to do more mobile podcasts in the future. Be able to like go to people's shops, go to racetracks, or heck, even do like a thing in Hamlin, like just set up in the pits somewhere so you can like watch the trucks come in or whatever while we're just chatting. We could even sit on the racetrack, do a podcast. No, that'd be super cool. But we'll put a pin in it. I'll talk to you guys about it later. But I really appreciate everybody watching, commenting, talking. What's up, Rob, Tyler, everybody that's commenting and doing all that fun stuff. Really appreciate AJ for being here. Thanks for our sponsors who help out quite a bit. So just all good things, and we're just going to keep going and making this as big as possible. And I don't know, we'll see where it takes us. But yeah, thanks for watching.